Are you ready to use the nominating and recruiting process? Building the volunteer pipeline is vitally important to March of Dimes' future success in every market. And while the nominating and recruiting process paves the way, it can be overwhelming at the beginning. So here are a few tips. First, start where you are. The nominating and recruiting process is an empowering tool for your market board, but it is a roadmap and nothing more. It's true that you and your fellow board members may invest months or even years into cultivating key relationships before recruiting a volunteer to a leadership position. And that's okay. It's just the way volunteer cultivation works, so patience is important. We often use the word cultivation, and you may be wondering, what is volunteer cultivation? Cultivation is the gradual process of building real relationships with prospects who may be a good volunteer match with the March of Dimes. Cultivation is all about understanding what motivates the prospect and how to ignite that passion. It is not a one-time happening, but rather a series of meetings, meals, social events, or other interactions over time. So as you get started, here are a few questions to consider. Who do we want to cultivate as a volunteer leader? We're looking for dynamic, strategic thinkers with business expertise and/or relationships. They should be both willing and able to take on March of Dimes board and/or event leadership responsibilities. And what are those responsibilities? Our volunteer position descriptions clearly define member roles and responsibilities for leadership, financial support, and volunteer recruitment. Whether you're looking for an event chair or board member, it's important to be clear about what you're asking of prospective volunteers. Next, have you assessed your current volunteer leadership composition? For example, what industries or companies are represented among your current leaders? Does the composition of the board reflect the diversity of the community we serve? Market boards are encouraged to use the Volunteer Leadership Composition Assessment Grid found in the toolbox. This assessment can help to identify and better utilize individual skills, strengths, diversity, corporate, and community connections. Additionally, the assessment can assist you in identifying volunteer leadership gaps and is an essential step in the market business planning process. Identify volunteer leadership position vacancies. In addition to recruiting a well-balanced and influential board, you will want to identify all vacant event leadership positions. For example, has your market recruited all of next year's March for Babies chairs? What about special event leadership? What about for the year after that? And the year after that? The nominating and recruiting chair should keep these vacancies on the board's radar through regular communication and as a standing agenda item year-round. Knowing which positions you need to fill, the responsibilities, and the skills required will help focus the prospect search and build a stronger volunteer bench. Identify prospect targets. Through the business planning process, you'll research the top philanthropic and corporate leaders in your market, and this should help generate a solid list of prospects for volunteer leadership vacancies. We have an entire module devoted to the business planning process. It's such an important tool in identifying where the gaps may lie. Current March of Dimes volunteers can be an excellent source of prospects as well. Why? They're already invested in the mission, well-connected, and recruiting other leaders is a board responsibility. Invest the time in cultivating relationships. True cultivation often starts with the individual who has the strongest relationship to the prospect, which is sometimes a volunteer and sometimes a staff member. It's about building a person-to-person connection, educating the prospect about the March of Dimes, and learning about his or her interests. Not all volunteer cultivation results in a committed board member or event leader, but every single interaction is an opportunity to strengthen a relationship to support the March of Dimes mission. Are you ready to use the nominating and recruiting process? These steps to understand your gaps in leadership and cultivate volunteer relationships will do just that. You may be surprised at how quickly you can build the volunteer pipeline in your market.